What's going on, fellas? Coming at you guys again this week with another dating topic. And like I always tell you guys, make sure you like, make sure you comment on the video, and definitely subscribe. That way you guys are always in the know when I'm coming at you with that new heat. You know what I'm saying? Alright guys, back at it again this week, and for today's video I'm going to be touching on a topic that I think you should avoid when you're texting or when you're on the phone with a woman prior to the first date. Right? So prior to going on an actual date with her, this is a topic that I really think you should try to avoid when you're conversing, when you're having conversations with her. So like I've done in the past, we're going to kick this video off with a fun story. Something that I experienced. So I was on a date with a young woman and we were walking around, kind of doing some sightseeing, exploring this neighborhood, and we decided to grab some food. So we go there, we're sitting at the table, we're waiting for our food, and we're talking, just learning about each other, getting to know each other. And as we're talking, the topic of dating comes up, and we start talking about just funny dating situations that we've been in. Nothing too serious, nothing too deep. We weren't talking about each other's exes or why our previous relationships didn't work, nothing like that. Just funny, silly things that we've encountered, let's say on first dates, or just funny different scenarios that we've been in as far as dating goes. And she starts to tell me about a guy that she met online, and they started talking and texting and messaging each other back and forth. And she tells me that she and this guy start sending each other GIFs. I don't know if they're called GIFs or GIFs. I'm gonna call them GIFs. If I'm wrong, oh well, but she starts sending GIFs to this guy and then he's sending her GIFs back. And for those of you who don't know what a GIF is, it's similar to a meme, but a meme is just a picture with like some text on it. A GIF is an actual short video clip that just kind of repeats itself over and over. It might be like 2 or 3 seconds long and it just repeats itself, right? So for example, it might be a guy going like this, and then every couple of seconds he just goes like this again, and then the video just keeps repeating itself just like that. That's what a GIF is. So she and the guy are sending each other GIFs back and forth, and somehow one thing led to another, and they start sending each other like sexually explicit GIFs. And they were sending the GIFs to each other kind of in a humorous way. It wasn't like she or the guy were trying to seduce each other or anything like that. It was more just sending outrageously, funny GIFs that were sexual in nature back and forth to each other. And it kind of became like a game where they were trying to see who could send like the more explicit or the more outrageous GIF compared to the other person. So I'm listening to the story and I'm like, okay, where is this going? Like how is this going to unfold? What's she gonna tell me? And basically what she says is, after a while, they're sending each other GIFs, and she kind of made the decision, I think maybe later that day or the day after, they had actually planned to go on a date, and she just kind of canceled and flaked. And her rationale was like, well, we sent each other these GIFs, about sexual stuff, and that's kind of weird to be doing with someone that you don't really know that well or that you haven't gone on a date yet with. So she kind of just flaked on the guy and stopped responding to his texts, and that situation just ended from there. And when she told me that story, it was kind of like a light bulb went off in my head, where I'm thinking, okay, this is something that a lot of guys can learn from, and there's a lot of nuggets within this story that can help a lot of guys when it comes to dating. If you meet a woman online, or maybe you meet her in person and you guys are texting, but you haven't quite gone out on a date yet. So let's take some time to deconstruct what happened and look at some possible things that might have been going on, in each of their heads. From the guy's standpoint, he's probably thinking, and I'm just speculating here, hey, I'm sending her these GIFs, she's texting me back, she's laughing, LOL, haha. She's sending the GIFs to me, so obviously it's something that she's consenting to. It's not something that's bothering her, right? She's sending me back, she's laughing about it, so there's no harm, no foul there. And maybe he's even thinking, hey, I'm leading the conversation towards sex, towards intimacy. Maybe that will increase the likelihood that when we go on a date, that at the end of the date we're gonna have sex or things are gonna be intimate between us. That's possibly what he's thinking. Even though she may be enjoying the banter and the flirtation and the kind of sexual jokes and things like that, she might start to think that, hey, this guy, when we go on our first date, he's going to be expecting things to be intimate. At the end of that date, he's going to expect that, and it's kind of going to be one of those dates where he's not really looking to get to know me. He's just looking to kind of meet up so that we can have sex at the end of the date. And even if that wasn't his intention, even if he was genuinely looking to just go on a date and get to know each other, the fact that he sent those kinds of sexual GIFs, it may make her think that he's expecting a little bit more from that date. So let's kind of set some ground rules here. In my opinion, there's no real need for you to start hinting at something sexual or start trying to explain what you're into sexually or try to make sexually suggestive jokes prior to going on the first date. You guys have probably heard the expression, there's a time and a place. Before going on a date, if you guys are just texting each other or maybe you met online and you haven't even seen each other face to face, that's really not the timing for you to start trying to do that. Even if you're giving her a compliment that could kind of be interpreted as sexual or sexual innuendo, you never know how she's going to take it or how she's going to interpret it. So it's best to just kind of leave those kinds of compliments or those kinds of jokes totally off the table. There's ways where you can be savvy and be witty and flirt without doing things in a sexually suggestive way, and I'll talk about that and kind of touch on that in another video. But like I said, guys, sometimes when you make a sexual joke or you compliment her in a way that's kind of sexual, she is going to use that as kind of a reason to say, hey, you know what, I'm not really looking to go out with this guy. And now, even though you might have meant it sort of innocently as just a joke, or maybe you do want to actually get to know her, but you're just sexually attracted to her, now you've kind of jeopardized the possibility of you guys getting together and meeting up because of that joke that you just made. So just keep that in mind when you're giving her a compliment or you're trying to be, like I said, witty or savvy or trying to flirt. There's a way where you can do it where it's not explicitly sexual. And I think a lot of the time what you guys are doing is you're trying to express the fact that you're physically attracted to her, but you're doing it in a way where you're overtly and explicitly sexual. And here's what I think some of you guys are actually doing. You text her and you're like, hey, what's up? What are you up to? And she texts you back and she's like, nothing much, just got out the shower. And then you text back like, I bet you look good in that towel. Like,
or they'd be like, damn girl, you just got out the shower, why didn't you tell me so I can be in there with you?
Right. Or you text her and you're like, why didn't you tell me that you just got out of the shower? I would have loved to shower with you. Guys, like I said, that's not the time, that's not the place. There's millions of other things that you could have said, but just in general, especially prior to meeting up, and she doesn't know your personality, she doesn't know what's, a joke or if you're actually serious, it's better to just avoid those kinds of jokes, right? When that's your response, when she texts you, I'm in the shower, I know what you're getting at, and I know, like I said, you might be just being playful or just trying to kind of be funny, but also be sort of sexual. But there's no level of seduction to what you just said, right? It's purely sexual, but there's no element of seduction to it. You know, that's something that's very important when it comes to women, and that's a topic for a whole different video. But remember that seduction plays a part in the flirting and in the banter as well. It's not just about, you know, saying something sexual or saying something sexually explicit. And what I equate that kind of text to, when you're like, I bet you look good in that towel. Imagine if a woman texted you and she's like, hey, what are you up to? And then you text her back, you're like, nothing much, I'm just here at work, getting some stuff done at the office. And then she texts you and she's like, I bet you can make a lot of money, right? You'd be like, you look at your phone like, it would just sound weird to you. You know, it would just kind of throw you off like, I make a lot of money. And then you're like, oh, is she just trying to date me or just trying to talk to me for my money, for my resources? I'm guessing here, but I'm guessing that that's what it feels like for a woman when you say something like, I bet you look good in that towel, right? There's more ways of sophistication and edginess that you can flirt and have that kind of banter without saying something like that. Remember that texting her, you know, things about sex or what you're sexually into, that's not how you indicate your interest. The way that you indicate your interest is by setting up dates, by leading the interaction towards getting together, right? Because at the end of the day, you may find this woman physically attractive and you want to be intimate with her. Nothing about what you text her or what you tell her you plan to do or what you want to do to her, that's not really going to increase her interest before getting to know you, right? What's going to do that is you going on dates and you building an attraction when you guys are face to face with each other. You're in the woman's presence, that's when you have an opportunity to build the attraction, to flirt, to express that, you know, seductive charm. It's very hard to do that over text. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, if I bring up, you know, the topic of sex, isn't that something that, you know, a guy who's confident would do? He would let her know, you know, how physically attractive she is or what he wants to do with her in the bedroom. And it's actually not the case. You know, if you talk to guys or communicate with guys who are comfortable being around women and who have a skill with building attraction with women, they know that it's their demeanor and just how they carry themselves that are going to build that sexual attraction with a woman. It's not something that he's going to text or something that he's going to send her or message in her DM. You know, a guy who's confident with women and who knows he can build that attraction, he knows that just the way that he carries himself and his demeanor is what's going to build that physical attraction between him and the woman. And as I said, you know, you can be clever and you can be flirty without being overtly sexual. And women really appreciate, you know, when a guy can be kind of witty and clever in how he flirts, and when he can do it in a way that doesn't kind of cross that line of making them feel like, oh, he just, you know, he's only interested in me for sex, or, you know, he's looking to just go on a date just so we can have sex. When you can do it in a way where it's clever, it's witty, that, you know, will build her interest. And I think what a lot of guys are doing is you're using texting as a way to also try to communicate your level of experience sexually or kind of your sexual prowess in the bedroom. Guys, understand that really doesn't impress her, and a lot of the guys that she's probably blown off or have rejected have made that same approach of trying to sort of sell themselves on what they're good at in the bedroom or what they can do with her or how they can please her. But when you do that, what you sometimes communicate is coming across as a guy who's desperate for sex. You know, I'm trying to sell myself to you and the things that I'm good at in the bedroom or how I can please you. You know, because I'm communicating that verbally over text because I'm trying to sell myself to you rather than knowing that I can just be kind of myself and just the way that I handle myself as a man, knowing that that's what's going to attract you. And one of the things that you guys have to realize is similar to the story that I gave you. Even if the woman is kind of reciprocating that sexual energy, maybe she's flirting with you back, maybe she's being sexual in her conversation as well. She may be doing that, but I can promise you guys there's a high likelihood that that date that you try to plan with her is gonna totally fall through, or the next day or the day after that, she's gonna just stop responding to your messages, because even though you guys have that conversation, she doesn't really see you as a viable option of someone to actually meet up with, right? Like the story that I gave you, the girl was sending the GIFs back and forth, but she kind of was just like, I kind of feel weird about sending those messages to him, and she kind of just ghosted him after that point. So don't think, well, what you're saying might be true, but this girl's texting me back and she's telling me what she wants to do to me, and she's getting sexual with her conversation as well. That may be the case, but there's a high likelihood that you guys will just never see each other if that's the road that you choose to bring the conversation down. So like I said, a lot of you guys are sort of focused and really trying to escalate the conversation towards sex, or escalate the interaction towards sex verbally, rather than allowing it to happen when you guys are in each other's presence. You know, if you think about intimacy, it's something that's very spontaneous. It's something that kind of happens organically when you guys are in each other's presence. What you're texting her and the things that you're trying to communicate, they're not really going to help lead the interaction in that direction, especially, like I said, guys, if you guys haven't gone on a date at all. And keep in mind, guys, that once you've taken the conversation down that path, there's no undo button, right? So even if you're just trying to be flirty, you can't undo the text that you sent and be like, hey, you know, I know that I mentioned this or I was being sexual, but I do actually want to go on a date with you and get to know you and kind of build that chemistry while we're in person. There's no undo button. What you've said at that point has already been put out there, and she's going to interpret it how she wants to, and then make a decision on whether to actually go out with you based on that. Alright guys, so that was my take on why you should avoid the topic of sex prior to going on that first date with the woman. As always, make sure you guys like, make sure you comment, subscribe. Feel free to share some stories on situations where maybe you made a comment or you tried to flirt and the woman just totally shut it down, or maybe flaked on you afterwards, or just kind of got upset or called you out about it. Feel free to share some of those stories in the comments section. So thank you guys for checking out the video. Thanks for the support. Double salute, and I'm out. Another video topic today. As always, before you check out the video, make sure you like, comment, and of course subscribe. Alright fellas, so for today's topic,